Hey, and welcome to the replay of the self-care workshop. I'm so excited that you decided to sign up for this. It's going to be so intensely helpful figuring out what kind of self-care works for you and how to fit it into your routine. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to just open up my schedule here because this replay obviously isn't live. It's going to be recorded. I wasn't able to get the recording working during the live session, so you guys get a completely freshly recorded replay. So first of all, welcome. I'm Jill. I have a podcast called Grow Like a Mother. I also offer some digital products to help moms sort of acclimatized to who they were outside of being just mom, remembering that and replacing themselves at the center of their own lives. And I'm writing a book, and I like to speak out in public at different events and things like that. So that's kind of where I'm at. What I do. I came to this work through cold hard experience of figuring out for myself how to do the things. I'm a constant learner, so I love to figure something out, learn about it, and then tweak it so that it can work for moms, because so many of the things that I learn about, it's just you can't really fit that into like real mom life, right? My favorite example to share is a morning routine. I don't know about you guys, but my kids wake up at like 5 a.m. if I'm lucky. So I'm not waking up an hour before them to fit in like journaling and meditation and exercising and all those things, because A, that's ridiculous to wake up at 4 a.m, but also B, we all know as soon as you wake up, your kids are going to wake up too. They just have this instinctual like knowing. They're like, oh, mommy, I need to go bother her, right? I need to attach myself to her. So I really wanted to do all these things and I couldn't make a morning routine work. So instead, I created the nighttime routine. And it's amazing. And I can do all these things. And then I sort of tweaked it a bit more and decided, like, oh, I don't have to do the same thing every night. I can work these pieces in through my day, through Time Confetti and different things like that. So if you're interested in learning about any of like the specifics on what I've tweaked in terms of personal development and growth and like just the work on how to make it work for moms, all of that information is in the Busy Moms Toolbox. And that's a really great resource for you to get started with. Or the Beyond Motherhood free video series. You don't even have to pay for that one. So that one's really cool. But the Busy Moms Toolbox is more in depth and has different components and extras added. So you can go ahead and just grab those on the website. Super easy. Either way, that's my background there. That's where I come from. And so I really wanted to take time today to share my strategies on self-care, what it is, what I think it is, how I fit it in, all these different things so that you can benefit as well and make sure that I'm sharing the information, because that's what I'm here to do. So let's go ahead and get started. I want to just quickly ask you, this is pretty interactive. You're going to have the workbook that I have sent you, hopefully printed out beside you so that you can work through it. I'm going to just go straight through, but as you work through this video, I want you to pause when it's time to like fill something out, and then you can come back to it, come back to the video once you've done the work. If you want to watch a whole video straight through and then go do the work after, that's cool too. Whatever makes sense for you, really. But my recommendation would be like pause it, do the thing, and come back, because we build on these things. Okay. It's not all work. It's actually really fun, and you'll get some really great insights. So the first thing I want to ask you is, how many other people are you taking care of? Do you have animals? Are you a mom? Do you have aging parents? Do you have friends, siblings, elderly neighbors, employees, nieces and nephews that need your help? We're going to start with a little exercise. I want you to write down a list of all of the people who need something from you, the people that you help and support in your life, people that you are responsible for, that you feel responsible for, and that you go out of your way to do nice things for or have a responsibility to look after. So you can go ahead and pause the video, fill that list out. Okay, welcome back. I want to know, I wish this could be interactive, because I want to know who all is on that list and how many people there are. Feel free to DM me, share with me, write me back in an email. I'd love to know how many people are on your list. And I want to know, after all of the people that you're taking care of, if you wrote yourself on the list. Are you taking care of yourself? Are you going out of your way to do nice things for yourself? Do you feel responsible for yourself? It's insane how many women, especially moms, forget to put themselves on their list of people to take care of. And even if it is on the list, I mean, go you if you put your own self on that list. But I'm willing to bet you're not at the top of the list. And it makes me so sad that we do this, is that we just forget about taking care of ourselves, when really the best way to show up and take care of other people is to make sure that you yourself are taken good care of, and nobody can do that but you. Okay, so that's the whole point about tonight's workshop. Tonight, we're going to identify what self-care looks like to you, and we're going to work it into your schedule so that you can fit self-care, personal self-care, into your very real life. So we'll start at the beginning. We're going to figure out what is the definition of self-care, because it's super trendy, and I want to know your interpretation of it. But since I can't hear from you, I'm going to tell you what Oxford says about self-care. Okay. Oxford says self-care is a practice of taking action to preserve or improve one's own health. The practice of taking an active role in protecting one's own well-being and happiness, in practice, or in particular during periods of stress. So those two things is what Oxford Dictionary uses to describe self-care: taking action to preserve or improve one's own health, and taking an active role in protecting one's own well-being and happiness in times of stress. Nothing about bubble baths. The way that I see self-care is taking care of yourself. It's that simple. Self-care is taking care of yourself. So what kind of things pop into your head when you hear that definition? Some people will say, naps or long baths or massages, pedicures, eating healthy food, moving your body. Like, it's going to be different for everyone. So I'm curious to know. Send me a note. Let me know what pops into your head when you think of self-care. Okay. Before we've done this workshop, and your definition might be different after, because we're going to really hone in on what specifically for you makes a difference and fills your cup. So before we go there, I want you to take out the little wheel diagram, like the circle with the different pie wedges. And we're going to talk about the 5 key areas that we need to focus on when we're taking care of ourselves. Okay. So there's the physical self-care, taking care of our physical body. So that would be things like movement, nutrition, drinking enough water, getting enough sleep. Okay. Then there's the social self-care. We're all social beings. So we need to make sure that we are giving ourselves the proper amount of social interaction, positive social interaction. Okay. It doesn't count going to see your dad if he stresses you out, or if your in-laws are horrible and you have, you see them every Sunday for dinner. It doesn't count. It should be something that fills you up. And talking about this, it's the right amount for you, the right amount of social for you. So if you're someone like me that needs a lot of time by themselves, the right amount of social is going to look different than an extrovert who thrives on and gets energy from being in social situations. So physical and social are the first 2 pieces of the pie. The next one is mental self-care. Are you kind to yourself? Are the words that you say to yourself in your head supportive? Are you mean to yourself? Are you, if you struggle with anxiety or depression, are you taking your meds? Are you able to get enough sleep so that you have clear head? Mentally, are you sharp? Are you doing the things that you need to do to make sure that you're taking care of your mental health? Okay, it's super important. I'm someone who needs medication for anxiety and depression. And I really notice that if I miss a couple days, or if I do something dumb, like take cough syrup, and I'm the 1% that it actually messes with my serotonin, I really notice. And I'm like, oh, right, I need to take better care of my mental health. It's part of self-care, taking care of yourself. Okay. The 4th one is your spiritual self-care. This one's tough to talk about sometimes because everyone has a different belief. Everyone has different ways that they practice faith, that they understand faith, that maybe they don't have faith. What this means to me, this spirituality piece, is really going in and trusting yourself. How strong is your relationship to yourself and your knowing on what's right? We can call it intuition instead of spirituality. If you follow a religion, maybe that means making sure that you are talking and praying to your God, your angels, your having conversations with the people at your church or your synagogue, your mosque, wherever you're going, making sure that you feel part of that community. If you're someone like me that's more spiritual rather than like religious, maybe that means meditating or having those conversations with your guides or making sure that you're tuning into your own energy and your spiritual knowing, right? For each person, it's going to be different, but whatever that looks like for you, I want to make sure that you're taking care of your soul. It's soul care is what this one is. Spirituality is your soul, the you inside, the inner being within your body. Make sure that your heart and your soul are taken care of. Okay. And like I said, that's going to look different for every single person. And there's no right or wrong for any of these categories, but especially for this one. Okay. What feels right for you. And the last area of self-care that we want to focus on is our emotional self-care. Taking care of your goddamn emotions, feeling the emotions, not stuffing them down, making sure that there is space for them, making sure that you are able to process them in a way that feels safe, in a way that feels non-judgmental, either by yourself or with other people. However you can experience emotions, making sure that you do that and that you can move through them, and having comfort in knowing that you can deal with your emotions. Different than dealing with your soul and yourself in that regard. Emotions come out of nowhere and it's a lot of work to deal with them. It's super uncomfortable. It's the thing that we least want to take care of for ourselves usually, is dealing with our hard emotions, but it's a really important piece of the puzzle to make sure that you can feel them, understand them, see why you're feeling them, and move through them. If you want more information on some of the work that I'm learning about with regards to emotional healing and inner child work and all that stuff, just reach out. I can give you some of the tools. I'm not ready to teach on it yet, but I'll share with you what I'm learning about. And then of course I'll teach on that once I have a really solid foundation of what's working for me and how I understand it and how I can interpret it. So those are the 5 areas. So you're going to find that paper, as I mentioned, in your workbook. Looks like a wheel. It's got the pie with the 5 sections. And I want you to use like a crayon or marker, pen, pencil, whatever's handy, highlighter, mascara, lipstick, grab something. And in each of those 5 sections, I want you to fill in the wheel with like the full portion of the pie being 100% and no coloring being like 0%, based on how you feel that you're currently doing in each of these areas. Not what someone else looking in would say about how you're doing, not how you think you're doing. How do you really feel you're doing? Be honest with yourself and take a minute to just think on each of these separate areas. How do you feel you're taking care of yourself in each of these areas? So you can go ahead and pause me and come on back when you're ready to continue. Okay. So we can think of this circle that you've just filled in as like a wheel or a tire, right? And I like to think about how we want the tire to sort of be mostly in the same amount of inflatedness, or else it's going to bump when it turns, right? If you have one that's really high, one that's really low, it's going to make you bumpy as you go through life. So what we want to work on is making this tire work really well for us and to keep us moving along. And in order to do that, we need to make sure it's properly inflated. So if you can take a look at your wheel and look at where you might need to pump up your tire, choose one area of self-care that you can focus on in the next 30 days. And just choose one. It's very important. Don't over commit. Don't get over ambitious. Choose one area to focus on in the 30 days. And then you can do this exercise again. You can redo your wheel. You can see, do I still need to be focusing on that area, or have I pumped it up enough and now I need to focus on another slice of the pie or portion of the wheel or whatever, okay? Because the goal isn't ever to be perfect or to do it all at once. The better way to approach change is to take it in small, manageable chunks. So choose one area. And in a month, just come back to the diagram, update it, and see where you're at. Okay. So now that you've narrowed down the area of self-care that you want to work on, whether it be physical, mental, social, emotional, or spiritual, it's time to find out what self-care really looks like to you in that area. because it's so different. I keep saying this, but it's so different for each of us. Okay. So the way that we figure it out is super simple and very fun. So it's almost like unexpected because we're so used to looking for answers outside of us and from experts and from bloggers and authors and celebrities and influencers and people on the internet. We're always looking outside of ourselves for information. But if we want to care for ourselves, we need to be the ones being the expert on ourselves. We need to determine what that looks like for ourselves and what feels good to us. So I'm going to walk you through a guided meditation, and then you can open up your workbook and just take notes about what came up for you. And in this way, you'll be able to get in touch with your deepest knowing and that thing that they kind of call intuition, and give it space to talk to you in the form of like images and feelings and maybe even words that are going to come into your head as we go through this guided meditation. So I want you to pause this if you're not in a place where you can find a comfortable spot and just zone out for 5 minutes without interruption. Come back to it whenever you're ready. Okay. Okay. So you can go ahead and close your eyes. I want you to be as comfortable as you can be wherever you are sitting or standing. Maybe you're lying down. We're going to start by taking 3 really deep breaths in through our nose and then out through our mouth. And you want that sound. I know it feels silly, but you want that audible exhale. Let's do another one. Okay, last one. Deepest breath you've done all day. And empty all the air out of your lungs. You can just start breathing normally now. And I want you to think of a little ball of energy that's hanging around your toes. You can picture it as a white light or as a warm feeling or whatever makes sense to you. And that energy is just going in through your feet. It's giving you a sense of relaxation and calmness. And it's slowly moving up from your feet into your calves, making everything feel really heavy, into your thighs. You're starting to feel really relaxed. And as the energy moves into your bum, you're feeling the support of whatever you're sitting on is moving into your belly and the small of your back and strengthening you. The energy moves into your heart center and your chest, and you can just feel the love and the warmth that this energy is giving to you, expanding your chest. It's moving now down through your arms. You might feel some tingling as it moves into your fingertips or some warmth. And now focus on that energy moving up through your neck as it passes past your shoulders. It's going up your neck into your head. And it's going up the back of your head and relaxing you through the back of your head. And as it comes up and over onto the front of your face, you can feel all the tiny muscles in your forehead and around your eyes relaxing. And you can feel it melting away any worry, any stress that you've been carrying. It's going to relax that jawbone a little bit. You might want to open your mouth just a little bit and part the teeth, relax your tongue. And this energy is going to stay with you as we go through this exercise, keeping you feeling really safe and supported, grounded and relaxed. And we're going to go ahead and picture ourselves in a room where we are super familiar. We feel really safe in this space. You might be with other people. You might be by yourself. Find yourself in this room and just look around and just see who's there. What is around? What colors do you see? What kind of floor is there in this room or this space? Maybe you're outside. Maybe it's grass. Do you see any windows? If you're outside, is it sunny? Are there trees? I want you to go ahead and pick up something that you see and feel if it's heavy or is it light? Is it cold to the touch, or does it have some warmth? Or maybe it's just the same temperature as your body and you don't notice anything but the heaviness or lightness of the object. And I want you now to think about opening a door and going from inside to outside. When you open this door, you see a bright, big, sunny sky, and there's a path. And as you walk down the path, if you put your arms out to either side, you can feel the bushes and the flowers sort of just brushing against the fingertips of your hands. And as you keep walking through this field or this forest, you come to the end of the path and there's a pagoda, little gazebo there for you. And if you look inside, there's a chair. It's the most comfortable chair that you can imagine. So I want you to just walk into the gazebo, go up the 3 steps that lead up, and take your seat in the chair. It's for you. This is a place that you can come and listen to your intuition. When you sit in this seat in this beautiful pagoda, surrounded by nature, you feel safe. You feel supported. You're alone, but you don't feel alone. You can feel the presence of support and love all around you. And I want you to take a few minutes to just sit in this chair and close your eyes and imagine your perfect day. When you wake up, how do you feel? Do you feel rested? Do you snooze your alarm, or are you bouncing out of bed with energy to get your day started? What kind of meal are you preparing for breakfast? Or maybe somebody else made it for you. Are you drinking coffee, water, a smoothie? Are there any supplements or pills that are part of your morning routine that are going to help you feel your best today? What's next for you on the agenda? What does your morning routine look like? Do you have anyone else to help? Do you have an exercise regime? Do you have your shower in the morning? Are you putting on your makeup? Is there music playing? Maybe you lit a candle. Maybe you saged or took a few minutes to do some breathing or practice some gratitude, or you looked at your to-do list for the day so that you could feel really prepared. Do you send a prayer out so that you're asking for protection of your loved ones? How are you starting your day off with intention? And as you move through the day, what does your morning look like? Who do you interact with? And what do those interactions feel like? Are they easy? Do they bring you joy, or do they bring you stress? Are there any emotions that come up? Are you at work? Are you socializing? Are you helping volunteer at daycare or school? Did you sneak off and have a morning coffee date with your spouse? Maybe you pick up the phone and you call someone who means so much to you that you haven't had a chance to connect with lately. What are you feeding yourself for lunch? Are you eating at your office desk? Or did you go out into the park and sit on a bench to eat your lunch today? Maybe you met your girlfriend or your mom at a little cafe and you had your favorite meal and you took your time to eat it. How's the afternoon going? Do you have a slump in energy in the afternoon? Or did you give yourself some sort of pick-me-up? Who are you interacting with in this afternoon, and what are you up to? When it's time for dinner, who's around you now? If you had to leave someplace and come home for dinner, or if you had to leave home and go out for dinner, how did you get there? Were you alone? Was there traffic? Did you arrive on time, or were you late? Are you enjoying a delicious, healthy meal, or are you splurging on a cheat day, on something that you know isn't healthy, but it feels so good? Are you sticking with water? Are you having a glass of wine? Maybe you're celebrating. Maybe you're ordering takeout on your couch. What is your perfect day ending like? Are there any evening routines? Is there a special show that you love to watch? Are you having a bath? Are you by yourself? Or are you socializing with your family or friends? Are you doing anything to support your sleep hygiene? Is the bed made when you walk into the room and crawl into the sheets? Do your pillows smell like lavender? Do you have a book beside the bed that you read for 10 minutes before you doze off? Or are you having a conversation about how the day went, either in your own head or with the person beside you? Maybe you're tucking your kids in. How does your day end, and how does that feel for you? What time is it when you close your eyes? Did you give yourself enough time to have a full sleep? Or did you stay up a little bit later and spend time on you, knowing that you might be a bit tired tomorrow, and that's okay? I'm going to give you a little bit more time to think through this day and just feel into any words that come up for you, any feelings, if you're seeing colors or numbers or people's names, if you're hearing music, if there's any scents that come up, smells. And when you feel ready, you can stand up from that chair in the gazebo and you can say thank you for this beautiful time that you've had. You're going to leave the gazebo, going down the 3 steps back to the path. And you're going to trace your steps back. You're going to just wander through that field or along that forest trail, feeling those flowers and long, tall grasses as you walk past. And then you see the door. You stop and you stand in front of this door. And slowly, when you feel ready, you can put your hand on that doorknob. And as you open the door, I want you to open your eyes and rejoin me. How was that? I want you to go ahead and write everything down that you experienced, whether it makes sense or not. Just do a brain dump. Put me on pause and do your brain dump. Get everything down on paper. Scribble it down. Okay. Welcome back, because that can be really heavy when we do that. The point of writing it all down was to clear your mind so that we can start fresh and create your actual self-care routine. So you're going to find a template in the workbook for you to fill out. You don't need to create an elaborate routine that you can't realistically complete. I want you to think about what is realistic for you, what feels good, but that's accomplishable, okay? Later, we're going to talk about how to work it into your life, but right now we're just focusing on the what of what self-care looks like to you, okay? I'm going to share some of the common self-care habits that people talk about, including some of my own. So you can feel free to use some of these or dream up your own, get inspired from your your meditation experience, whatever feels good to you. So go ahead and write as I'm talking if you want. And you're also going to find a list of these things that I am speaking out loud that you can refer to if you're more of a visual person. Okay. So some common self-care habits can include taking a nap, going for a walk, being alone, having a cup of your favorite beverage, reading a book, sitting in the sun, going for a drive, listening to music, petting your dog, saying no, setting up personal boundaries, asking for help before you need it, drinking water, having a snack, exercising, putting on your favorite piece of clothing, journaling, deep breathing, lighting a candle, practicing gratitude, doing some EFT tapping or meditation, stretching your body, calling a friend, prayer, working on a hobby, cleaning out your space, getting a massage, kissing your sweetie or hugging your kids, having a bath or a shower, saying some affirmations or a mantra, watering your plants, going to therapy, getting a haircut, planning a trip, watching something cute on YouTube or catching the latest comedy special, volunteering, setting up an automatic savings or investment plan, doing things like this and investing your time and energy into learning, taking a class that interests you, cultivating your inner circle and realizing that not everyone you love needs to be in it. I've listed these out for you, but I also encourage you to come up with specific practices for yourself that are going to make you feel uplifted and motivated and energized and supported. Don't worry yet about how or when we're going to fit these things in. It's just the what. Okay. Make it personal, make it specific. Let's aim for 10 things. Beside them, I want you to write down how long each thing is going to take. Is it 5 minutes to accomplish that self-care habit, or does it take 30? Be realistic and just surrender to the season that you're in. Okay. If you have an infant, your self-care availability and routine is going to look a lot different than if you have teenagers, or if you're a single parent, or if you have 2 jobs, or maybe you are on maternity leave. Okay. You're focusing more on your family. You're not going to be able to focus as much on your career. There's different seasons for each of us, but acknowledge where you're at. Okay. And work with that. And know that seasons change. And as you go through and pump up that tire, maybe the next time you revisit it, you're in a different season. And this whole exercise is going to look different to you. Okay. So now we know the area of focus that we need to focus on, and we've curated a resource list of things that you can do to help you in that area. Okay. Now it's time to figure out how to do it, because you are allowed to have time for yourself. I'll say that again for the folks in the back. You are allowed to have time for yourself. And I'm going to show you how you can work any and all of these things that you've listed, and the things that we said were supportive and nourishing. We're going to be able to fit those into your week. Okay. It's not even that hard. So here it is. Every weekend, I want you to plan for the following week that's coming. Okay. I like to use like a paper calendar, but if you're more digital, use the digital one. I realize it's 2023. So like whatever works for you. To start, you're going to go and put all of the existing commitments into your week. So anything that is like a to-do, like putting garbage out on Wednesday for me, right? Or every week my son has speech therapy on Friday. If there's things like that that are no-brainers that you know you just have to do each week, first put those down on each day of the week, okay? If you want to get really specific, you can schedule them in on a specific time block. But if you're like me, I just sort of put it on the day, and I let my day flow. And then after those things are in, you're going to look at the calendar, taking also into account time where you're at work, or you know that you're full-time parenting, you're not gonna be able to fit anything in. Ignore those times. You can even like block them out in a different color where you're like unavailable. Okay. Find the empty spaces and choose 1 hour in that week, just 60 minutes. I want you to put this in your calendar as an appointment with yourself to take care of yourself, your self-care time. Okay. Two really important things on this. Okay. You can't bail on yourself. You can't put it in your calendar and not show up for yourself. And the second really important thing is that you don't have to pre-plan the self-care practice. Okay. You're going to treat this calendar event like you would a work commitment or parenting commitment. You are expected to show up for yourself for 1 hour a week. We can all make that happen. Okay. You need to get someone to watch the kids. Do that. Make sure you have this 1 hour and show up. Okay. And now that you have that list of 10 self-care practices that actually matter to you, that you've identified as things that are going to uplift you, make you feel better, all that stuff, you can settle into your self-care hour to show up and then decide what you want to do with your time. Okay. Because some days we just don't feel like exercising, or maybe your kids slept in and you don't need a nap that day. The idea behind having the list is that it gives you freedom to decide what feels right for you in that moment. And let me remind you that this isn't selfish to take care of yourself. So kick that mom guilt to the curb. Just get it out of here right now. Okay. You're setting an example for your kids of a grown-up who values themselves and knows how to take care of themselves. Okay. Who cares how they show up in the world? This shows them that if you can find a way to take care of yourself and treat yourself as well as you treat everyone else, they're going to be able to do the same thing for themselves when they're grown. That's such a gift. If you can model the behavior that you would love your kids to embody, that is such a gift for them to see you do it, okay? To prioritize yourself. And the other bonus, which we all already know, is that when you're rested and you're feeling good, then you show up better as a version of yourself for those that you love, right? You show up as your best instead of giving them that sort of crappy, tired, overwhelmed version of you that comes home at the end of the day with no energy and no fucks left to give, quite frankly. So I want you to also remember that there's this amazing ripple effect that can happen when you take care of yourself in all of the areas that we identified earlier. You feel better, so you show up better. You inspire your loved ones to do the same. You're better able to foster strong and loving relationships and connections. You spread happy to the kids and the spouse and the friends, and you bring that happy to the community. And your kids and spouse and friends, they bring that happy with them through their days, into their schools, into their workplaces, into their communities. Listen, I know this is hard. I'm not saying it's not hard. I know it's countercultural and like 180 degrees different from how we currently spend our time. And I'm not saying that you need to change everything you're doing. I'm saying you need to take an hour a week to prioritize your self-care. So I just want to wrap up by showing you how you can put yourself back on your priority list. It's really, really, really time to get back in the driver's seat and just figure out what you want out of your life. Okay. I want to encourage you to take the time to dig into things that interest you. Focus inward and remember that you always know what's best for you. The answers don't come from outside yourself. Try going on a news diet and just tuning out for a week, a day, a month, whatever feels right. Tuning out the news. Turn that shit off. Don't listen to the radio commercials and the radio news. Don't put on the nightly news. Don't read those Facebook clickbaits. Go on a news diet and take control of the media and the inputs that are coming into you. Okay. And you can just unfollow or mute any social media accounts that make you feel jealous or bad about yourself, or when you notice you start to play that comparison game, just unfollow or mute them. Have a little social media break from things that don't make you feel awesome, that don't inspire you. Really curate those feeds when you are looking at them so you're controlling the input that comes in. Go on an advice diet and just for a day, a week, a month, just practice using only your intuition to give yourself the answers on what you should do. Even for the hard stuff, like maybe you're trying to sleep train your kid or figuring out what foods you need to eat or weaning or like, I don't know, whatever situation you're in, don't make an excuse that you don't know the answers and you need to have information from other people. Just practice for one day trying to come up with the answers from within because you always know what's right for you. Okay. Start journaling. That's a great way to do it. And just ask a question, like write it down on the paper, and then just see what comes out of you. Ask a question, set a timer that you have to sit there for at least 10 minutes and just start writing. Learn to trust yourself because you have the answers. So, almost done. You're doing great. I know this a lot. I know it's intense, but I want to ask yourself, I want you to ask yourself every single morning for 30 days, what am I going to do to make myself happy today? And I want you to focus on adding an hour or allocating an hour of your week, each and every week, to showing up for yourself and sitting down with your list of 10 self-care items, knowing how long each of them takes, and just do one or two. Spend the hour for yourself and see what a difference it makes in your life, in the lives of the people around you, in your community. And then come back when you feel like you've pumped that portion of the tire and tackle another one. You're going to feel so inspired and motivated by the results that you see, and you're going to want to keep working at it. It's such a miraculous thing, and I can't wait to hear your success stories. Please send them to me. If you're interested in more, I've got a podcast and a free video series that I mentioned, and lots of free resources on the website and on my socials. So all the information on how to learn more is at the back of your workbook. I just thank you for taking the time for yourself tonight, taking the opportunity to learn something that will help you take care of yourself. Thank you for being here with me. Keep growing like a mother.